The courtroom fell into a stunned silence as the gavel slammed down with deafening finality. Judge Reynolds' eyes narrowed as he declared, "The evidence you've all heard, it changes everything." In the packed courtroom, Anna Callahan, a fierce and determined defense attorney in her late 30s, clenched her fists, her breath hitching as a secret witness stepped forward from the shadows. The air thickened with disbelief and tension. This was no ordinary case anymore. It was a battle for survival, a desperate fight for justice against a system riddled with corruption. Every face in the room registered shock, but none more than Anna's. This moment would either break her or make her legend. She whispered, "They don't know what's coming." Outside the courtroom, Anna's mind raced as reporters clamored around her. "Anna, what does this mean for the case?" one shouted. She steadied her voice. "This changes everything." The witness testimony could unravel the entire prosecution's case. But beneath her calm exterior, a storm brewed. This case was personal. Years ago, her own family had been torn apart by a miscarriage of justice eerily similar to what she faced now. The weight of that history pressed on her chest, fueling her resolve to fight, no matter the cost. As cameras flashed, Anna's gaze hardened. They think they've won, but they're only just beginning to see the real fight. Back in her modest apartment, Anna pored over case files under the dim glow of a desk lamp. Each paper told a fragment of a puzzle she was desperate to solve. Memories flickered. Her father's wrongful imprisonment, her mother's tears, the endless courtroom battles that had shaped her life. She whispered to herself, "This isn't just about law. It's about justice." Outside, the city hummed with indifferent life, but inside Anna's heart, a fierce fire blazed. Tonight, she vowed, would be the start of turning the tide. No matter how deep the corruption, no matter the cost, she would uncover the truth. The next morning, Anna met with her closest ally, Marcus, a seasoned private investigator with a knack for uncovering secrets. "This witness," Marcus said quietly, "could either save you or bury you." Anna nodded. "I trust you to dig deeper, find the truth behind his silence." They planned their next moves with precision, contacts to call, places to check, questions to ask. The law was just the battlefield. The real war was in shadows and whispers. As they parted, Anna's voice held a fierce promise. "No matter what they hide, we'll bring it all into the light." Later that day, Anna stood alone in the empty courtroom, the weight of the battle ahead settling over her like a shroud. The polished floors gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights, every echo magnified in the stillness. Her fingers brushed the edge of the judge's bench, a silent vow passing through her lips. "This case isn't just law, it's everything I've fought for." Outside, footsteps echoed as the court clerk began preparations for the next hearing. Anna's gaze lifted, fierce and unyielding. The fight for justice had begun, and she would not back down, no matter what the cost. The courtroom buzzed with renewed tension as the prosecution regrouped, their lead attorney glaring daggers at Anna. "This so-called witness is a fabrication," Prosecutor Mills declared sharply, his voice slicing through the murmurs. But Anna stood firm, eyes blazing. Fabrication or not, the truth will surface. Behind the scenes, her team worked feverishly, chasing leads. Meanwhile, whispers of bribery and cover-ups in the legal system began to seep into the public sphere, casting shadows on the case's integrity. Every move now felt like walking a razor's edge. One false step could mean total ruin. Yet Anna's determination burned brighter than ever. Justice wasn't just a cause. It was her life's mission. Late into the evening, Anna met with Marcus in a dimly lit, cluttered office, stacked with files and old case notes. "There's something they don't want us to find," Marcus said, flipping through a worn dossier. "Corruption runs deeper than we imagined. Judges, officers, even some lawyers." Anna's jaw tightened. "If this leaks, it could destroy the court's credibility. But we need proof." She glanced out the rain-streaked window, the city lights flickering. "We'll dig it up no matter what." The stakes had escalated beyond the courtroom drama. Now it was a fight against a system built on lies and betrayal. A sudden phone call shattered the silence late at night. Anna's eyes widened as the voice on the other end whispered, "They've sent someone after you." Heart pounding, she grabbed her coat. Outside, the streets were slick with rain, neon signs flickering erratically. Paranoia gripped her. Friends could be foes, every shadow hiding danger. Yet retreat was impossible. Her mind raced through the possibilities, calculating risks, anticipating betrayal. This was no longer just a case. It was survival. As she disappeared into the stormy night, Anna vowed she would expose the rot no matter the cost, even if it meant facing darkness alone. The next day, news outlets exploded with rumors of judicial misconduct linked to the case. Headlines screamed scandal, public trust fractured like fragile glass. Anna sat quietly, absorbing the storm she had helped unleash. Marcus warned, this could backfire. People love a villain, not a whistleblower. Anna stared out the courthouse window, eyes cold but unyielding. Truth isn't always popular, but it's necessary. We have to keep pushing. The courtroom was no longer just a place of law. It had become a battleground of power, lies, and fragile alliances, where every revelation could topple the delicate balance of justice. Back in the courtroom, Anna faced a packed gallery as the judge announced an unexpected recess. Murmurs filled the air. Speculation, fear, anticipation. Anna's mind raced as she reviewed her strategy, knowing the prosecution was mounting their own countermove. Every moment was a test of endurance and wit. Her voice barely above a whisper, she told Marcus, "This fight is far from over, but we've shaken the foundations. Now, it's about how far we're willing to go." Outside, the city thrummed with restless energy, mirroring the tempest within her. The law had become a chessboard, and Anna was ready for the next move. The courtroom lights seemed harsher than ever as Anna took the stand to cross-examine the secret witness. Her voice was steady, but beneath it pulsed a fierce urgency. "Why come forward now, after all these years?" The witness hesitated, eyes darting before settling. "Because the truth was buried, but it can't stay hidden anymore." The jury leaned in, tension tightening like a noose. Outside, Anna's allies whispered warnings. Someone was watching, waiting for her to slip. The layers of deception thickened, threatening to crush the fragile hope she clung to. Yet in that moment, Anna felt a surge of power. This was the turning point, the beginning of unraveling a web far darker than anyone suspected. Later that evening, Anna met with Marcus in a quiet bar, the hum of muted conversations and clinking glasses providing cover. "I found something," Marcus said, sliding a folder across the table. Financial records showing untraceable payments to several court officials. Anna's eyes narrowed. "That's our leverage." But as she pored over the documents, doubt gnawed at her. How deep did this corruption go? The city skyline twinkled beyond the rain-speckled windows, a stark contrast to the dark secrets hidden within those pages. They both knew exposing this would be dangerous, but retreat was no longer an option. The next day, Anna confronted Judge Reynolds privately in his chambers. "These allegations, are they true?" she asked quietly. The judge's expression tightened, shadows flickering across his face. "I'm bound by the system," he replied, voice heavy with regret. "Sometimes, justice is sacrificed for order." Anna's heart sank but steeled itself. If the system protects the corrupt, then it's broken beyond repair. We have to fight, even if it means tearing it down. The weight of his words hung between them, a silent acknowledgement of the battle to come. Trust was fragile, and the line between ally and adversary blurred dangerously. Anna's phone buzzed with a cryptic text, "Watch your back." She glanced around the dim hallway of the courthouse, every shadow seeming to pulse with unseen eyes. Paranoia tightened its grip. Friends felt distant, strangers suspicious. Yet she refused to falter. "They want me scared," she murmured to herself, "but fear won't stop the truth." Gathering her courage, Anna pushed forward, digging deeper into the tangled web of lies. Every discovery risked more than just the case. It risked her life. But surrender was never an option. The deeper she went, the clearer it became. The enemy was closer than she thought. In a late-night meeting with her team, Anna laid out the plan to expose the corruption publicly. "This is our last chance," she said, voice steady but urgent. "If we succeed, it could change everything. If we fail?" The room fell silent, the unspoken stakes weighing heavy. Marcus nodded, determination burning in his eyes. "We're with you." As they prepared for the coming storm, Anna felt the fragile hope of justice flicker alive again. The road ahead was perilous, but with allies at her side, she was ready to face whatever darkness awaited. The fight was far from over. It was only just beginning. The courtroom fell into an uneasy silence as the bailiff announced an unexpected witness. Anna's breath hitched. The woman who stepped forward was unfamiliar, a composed figure in her early 40s, dressed in a tailored dark suit, her eyes clear and unyielding. "I have proof that will change the entire course of this trial," she declared, carefully producing a thick, sealed envelope from her briefcase. The judge's steady gaze flickered with surprise, the jurors leaning forward, sensing the gravity of the moment. Anna's mind raced, weighing the possibilities. Was this a genuine breakthrough or a trap meant to unravel her defense? The courtroom seemed to hold its breath, the tension thickening like a storm ready to explode. All eyes locked on the envelope, the fragile key to unmasking hidden truths. The balance of power in the trial teetered on the edge, threatening to plunge into chaos. Backstage, away from the courtroom's piercing gaze, Anna's phone buzzed with a message that sent a chill down her spine. "You don't know who's watching." The words glowed ominously on the screen as she paused, her fingers tightening around the device. Paranoia, once a distant fear, had become her constant companion, an invisible shadow lurking in every corner. As she prepared to open the envelope that could make or break the case, her thoughts raced through the minefield of potential traps, betrayals, and hidden enemies. The courthouse corridors echoed with the faint hum of whispered conversations, footsteps quickening, alliances shifting unseen. She forced herself to breathe steady, repeating a mantra of caution and resolve. "Trust no one," she whispered under her breath, her eyes steeling to protect the fragile flame of truth she carried. This case was no longer just about law. It was a perilous journey into the heart of a system riddled with darkness. In a rare moment of quiet away from the chaos, Anna met Marcus in a small, dimly lit cafe, tucked away from the city's noise. "This case," Anna began, voice heavy with exhaustion, "it's more than a legal battle now. It's about survival, oars, and the truths." Marcus nodded grimly, his weathered face etched with the fatigue of countless fights. "They'll do whatever it takes to keep their secrets safe, but we have something they don't, proof." Outside, rain pattered against the window, the city skyline blurred and distant, a stark contrast to the fierce determination in the room. Between sips of bitter coffee, they made silent vows to stand firm, knowing the path ahead was dark and treacherous. Together, they had become warriors in a shadow war, prepared to risk everything for justice. Retreat was no longer an option. The moment of truth arrived as Anna opened the sealed envelope at the defense table, her fingers trembling slightly despite the fire burning in her eyes. Inside were documents that shattered illusions, emails revealing covert financial transactions, confidential memos implicating high-ranking officials, and photographic evidence exposing a conspiracy to manipulate the case's outcome. A collective gasp rippled through the courtroom. Even Judge Reynolds' stoic facade faltered, revealing a flicker of shock and unease. The prosecution scrambled for a response, their confident veneer cracking under the weight of undeniable proof. Anna's heartbeat quickened. The tide had turned in her favor. But beneath the exhilaration lay an undercurrent of dread. Each revelation brought fresh dangers, and the courtroom had transformed into a battlefield where every truth uncovered invited new threats. The war for justice was at a critical turning point, but the battle was far from over. As the judge called for a recess, the courthouse erupted into whispers and speculation, reporters swarming the halls like predators scenting blood. Anna's phone buzzed again, this time with a more urgent threat. "Back off or you'll regret it." A cold wave of fear washed over her, but she swallowed it, refusing to let it show. Her footsteps echoed in the crowded marble-floored hallways as she moved briskly, every glance feeling like a challenge, every whisper a warning. Yet, beneath the growing pressure, Anna's resolve hardened. This fight was no longer just about winning a case. It was about uprooting a deeply embedded rot, no matter the cost. She caught Marcus's eye, his expression fierce and protective. Together they readied themselves for the most dangerous stretch yet. The stakes had never been higher. The courtroom was thick with anticipation, as Anna prepared to deliver her closing argument. Her voice rang clear and unwavering. This case is not just about laws or evidence. It's about the truth that has been buried beneath layers of lies and corruption. She paced slowly before the jury, eyes scanning each face, connecting with the doubts and hopes within them. We stand at a crossroads where justice can either be restored or forever lost. Outside, tension crackled like static in the air, but inside Anna's heart surged with a fierce determination. This was the moment she had fought for, the chance to dismantle the system's dark facade and reclaim what had been stolen. The courtroom hung on her every word. The prosecution countered with a forceful rebuttal, their lead attorney's voice sharp and accusing. Nams Callahan's case is built on shaky grounds, witnesses with questionable motives, evidence unearthed under suspicious circumstances. He paced aggressively, trying to unravel the doubt Anna had sown. But the cracks in their argument were visible, the courtroom shifting, sensing the vulnerability behind the bluster. Anna's eyes never left him, unflinching. This was more than legal sparring. It was a battle for the soul of the justice system. Every word, every pause, weighted with the stakes of what lay ahead. The final verdict felt both impossibly distant and terrifyingly close. Outside the courtroom, the media frenzy reached a fever pitch. Cameras flashed relentlessly, reporters shouted questions, and rumors swirled like wildfire. Anna stood resolute, flanked by Marcus and her junior lawyer, shielding her from the storm. "Is justice truly possible?" a reporter challenged. Anna met the barrage with calm eyes. "Justice is never easy, but it is worth every sacrifice." Behind her composed exterior, doubt flickered. Was the system ready to change? Or was she merely a pawn in a larger game? Yet the fire inside her refused to be extinguished. The fight had become personal, a beacon for those silenced by corruption. The world watched, waiting for the outcome that would ripple far beyond these walls. Inside the jury room, the tension was palpable as deliberations stretched late into the night. Jurors argued heatedly, wrestling with conflicting evidence and their own convictions. Some believed Anna's unwavering pursuit of truth. Others were haunted by doubt sown by the prosecution's counterattack. The weight of responsibility bore down on each decision, knowing their verdict would shape lives and a community's faith in justice. Hours passed like minutes as the divide grew sharper, and the fragile hope that justice would prevail hung by a thread. Outside, the courthouse lights dimmed, shadows creeping through empty halls, the quiet before a storm that would decide everything. Finally, the courtroom reconvened, the air thick with anticipation. The judge called the jury forward, their faces solemn, every eye in the room fixed on the foreperson as they rose to deliver the verdict. A hush fell. "We find the defendant." The words hung heavy, each syllable echoing with life-altering consequence. Anna's heart pounded, every muscle taut. This moment was the culmination of relentless fight, sacrifice, and hope. As the verdict was read, the room seemed to hold its breath, some faces flooded with relief, others with disbelief. Whether it was redemption or ruin, victory or collapse, the outcome would forever change the lives entwined in this case. The final chapter had begun. The courtroom remained silent as the verdict was absorbed, the weight of the decision pressing down on everyone present. Anna's shoulders sagged slightly, relief mingling with exhaustion. Justice had been served, but the victory felt fragile, overshadowed by the scars the battle had left behind. Reporters jostled to capture her first words, but she remained composed. "This isn't just my fight," Anna said steadily. "It's for everyone who's ever been silenced by a corrupt system." Behind the courtroom doors, murmurs of change began to swell, but so did whispers of retaliation. The fight had shifted, no longer confined to the courtroom. it had entered a broader arena where the cost of truth was yet to be fully revealed. That evening, Anna sat alone in her apartment, the city's distant hum a stark contrast to the turmoil inside her mind. Victory was bittersweet. Memories of the battles fought, lost friendships, threats, betrayals, weighed heavily. She stared out at the glowing skyline, questioning the price paid for justice. Marcus's words echoed in her mind. This is just the beginning. She knew he was right. The system was cracked but not broken. Corruption still festered in shadows, waiting for another moment to rise. For now, Anna allowed herself a brief moment of quiet strength, a flicker of hope in the darkness, before steeling herself for the inevitable next chapter. The next morning, Anna and Marcus convened with the team, their faces grim but resolute. "The fight's far from over," Marcus warned. "We've rattled the cage, and it won't be quiet now." Plans were laid for ongoing investigations, public awareness campaigns, and safeguarding witnesses. Each step forward was a calculated risk. Anna felt the weight of responsibility like never before. She wasn't just defending one case anymore. She was leading a movement against a deep-rooted system of injustice. The courtroom had been a battleground, but the war was broader, messier, and far more dangerous. Yet, in their unity, there was strength and a flicker of hope that real change could come. But the victory's shadow crept closer. Late that week, a threatening package arrived at Anna's doorstep, a stark warning wrapped in silence. She stared at the cold, unmarked box, fingers trembling. The fight had earned enemies with long reach and no mercy. As she shared the news with Marcus, their determination hardened. "We won't back down," Anna vowed. No matter the cost. The stakes had shifted from legal arguments to personal safety. The system that had almost crushed her was now closing in for retaliation. Yet the fire inside Anna burned brighter, fueled by the belief that exposing the truth, no matter the danger, was the only path forward. In the quiet aftermath, Anna stood on her apartment balcony, looking out over the city, a mosaic of lights flickering in the night. She breathed deeply, the weight of the battle settling into a steady resolve. The victory in court had been monumental, but the war against corruption was far from won. "This is just the beginning," she whispered, a vow to herself and the countless others depending on her. The city below buzzed with life, indifferent yet full of potential. Anna's fight was no longer isolated. It had become a beacon, a call to those who dared to seek justice in a flawed world. With Marcus beside her, she was ready to face whatever the future held. The courtroom was unusually still as Anna returned for the final hearing. Months of battles, betrayals, and sacrifices weighed heavily in the air. The judge's gavel echoed softly, calling the room to order. Anna's eyes scanned the familiar faces, some allies, some wary adversaries, all touched by the storm she had unleashed. Her voice was calm but resolute as she spoke. "Justice is not given. It's fought for, often at great cost." The crowd seemed to hold its breath, sensing this was more than a legal closing. It was a reckoning. Every word, every glance carried the weight of a story that had forever changed them. The final chapter was unfolding, raw and unfiltered. As the prosecution presented their last argument, cracks appeared in their once formidable stance. Anna noticed subtle shifts, hesitations, faltering voices, eyes avoiding hers. The prosecution's case, once believed airtight, now seemed fragile. She seized the moment with unyielding focus. "Truth has a way of breaking through no matter the walls built to contain it," she stated, voice clear and unwavering. The courtroom hung on her every word. Outside, the tension was palpable, as if the very foundations of the justice system trembled beneath the weight of exposed secrets. This was more than a trial. It was a turning point. Outside the courthouse, the media frenzy reached a crescendo. Reporters shouted questions, flashes exploded, and the crowd buzzed with speculation. Anna, flanked by Marcus and her team, navigated the chaos with steady resolve. "What happens now?" a reporter pressed. Anna met the question with unwavering gaze. "Now, the real work begins. We've opened the door, but change is a marathon, not a sprint. Her words echoed hope and warning. The battle for justice was far from over, but the ripple she had created would never fade. In the face of adversity, Anna stood as a beacon, unyielding, relentless, and ready for whatever came next. Late that evening, Anna sat alone in her apartment, the weight of the journey settling over her like a quiet storm. The victory in court had shifted the landscape, but the cost was evident in friendships strained, trust broken, and the relentless pressure that never truly lifted. She stared out at the city lights, the silence heavy but not empty. "Is it worth it?" she whispered to the night. Yet beneath the doubt, a flame still burned. Resilience, hope, and an unbreakable will. The fight had changed her, marked her, but it had also defined her. Tomorrow was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The truth would endure, no matter the shadows. In the final moments, Anna stood on her balcony, the night air cool against her skin. The city stretched endlessly before her, bright, chaotic, full of stories yet to be told. She breathed deeply, feeling the weight of the past months settle into a calm determination. Her phone vibrated softly with a new message, but she didn't look. Instead, she whispered into the silence, "This is only the beginning." The words hung in the air, sharp and haunting, echoing like the last breath of a storm. The fight for justice was far from over, but Anna was ready. Whatever came next, she would face it head on, with courage, resilience, and unyielding hope.